We'll add that later. Right? My partner understands that each time he lets me hold his hand, I will use that to break his posture, to pull him down, to push him. So, and also, if he is successful in not letting me hold his hand, he will be rewarded by not facing any bad consequences. This might have been the shittiest grappling that you have ever seen. Welcome back. This is a concept, this is a technique that you can use to learn techniques. Any martial art technique, any self-defense technique especially. If you just do repetition of the same technique, it's not going to help you because you might not be able to use it in real life where factors like movement, pressure, sound, pushing, pulling, all these things are involved. So here is a way you should practice any technique to get good at it and to use it in real life. It doesn't matter whether you practiced a simple technique, for example, go for this typical self-defense technique from you do something like this, or you're opening it up, going for other attacks, or you're going opposite. None of those techniques work if you have not thought about what you will do when factors like pushing, pulling, movement is involved. Let's say if the technique involved is somewhat like this, and you are told to break the balance by pushing the eye or pushing the face backwards, using the palm strike, pushing the face backwards. But what will you do? How will this work if suddenly all you have practiced is stand-up techniques like 1, 2, and then the sensei says good and you go home? What happens when the pushing or pulling is involved? For example, push. I couldn't find his face to push it back. It's not working. He's got longer and stronger arms than I have. So how will you manage this if you have not practiced it like this? Just for example, let us take this technique. Somebody holding your wrist. You're taught this in self-defense. You're taught this in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, grappling. Because if you can avoid this from happening, a lot of techniques against you, especially grappling techniques, they can be avoided. If you can avoid this from happening. So usual techniques are like 1, 2, or if you are going from the opposite side, this is actually the same thing, from inside to outside. Or if you are holding in this position, we go anti-clockwise here, this hand. Okay, this is an opposite situation. Still we can use the same, right? Because there is an opening over here, you have to understand you can't go this side, you'll have to go that side. So if you are holding my hand, I need to exploit this opening and use it for my advantage in this or this or this manner. Your first step to mastering this technique would be stand face to face, understand what all variations are there. Same side, that is my left hand, the opponent's right hand. I could go opposite or from the inside also. If this is right and right, now you can use the inside variation. If it is the other side above, now you can use the anti-clockwise motion. Understand each technique, each concept. Take your time, stand, don't worry about realistic attacks or realistic training right now. Just stand there, understand what all is happening. Make sure you understand the concept. Now number 2, we understand what we have to do. Make this into a game. Your goal is to catch my wrist. My goal is to escape that and catch yours. Hold. Now we are going to do that without moving. We are practically in the same place and we will not move. Okay. Yes. You see, I am using the same concepts. I will use the technique for one side first, then I will use the technique for the other side by the time the other person gets it. Alright? Forget about the movement right now. We'll add that later. Right? Next step would be for you to add movement. That is, you are allowed to move in a limited space. For us, this is the red portion of the mat over here. Now you can call this level 1 of our game. Here what we are doing is we are trying to get hold of each other's hands, the wrist, okay, and nothing special over here, just adding some walking forward and backward, some movement, some pushing, some pulling along with this, nothing, just getting used to how different situations might occur, different angles, different hands alternate right to left and left to right, what all can happen. This will give a more realistic understanding of what to do from different positions. And in the next clip you will see how we are taking it one step further. So if as a partner, my job is over here to let my partner understand that each time he lets me hold his hand, I will use that to break his posture, to pull him down, to push him. So, and also if he is successful in not letting me hold his hand, he will be rewarded by not facing any bad consequences. What we are doing is nothing but one technique, isolating that one scenario, one situation that you might face, somebody trying to grab your wrist, and that one technique we'll practice with movement and all these factors. Now in this small game of ours, we are going to add some more factors like pushing, pulling, and kind of simulating a little bit of punching, and also maybe a little bit of grabbing other parts of the body, like going for a grappling technique, which would be like a takedown or something. Just trying to explore different possibilities while practicing this one technique. And as you know, we are not professional wrestling or grappling people, but what happens over here is I am just trying to simulate attacks that can happen, striking attacks, which we'll add a little bit later, little of the grappling things. So for example, if I get hold of your hand, I will try to break the posture, go for some other technique. I will try to bring home that realization in my opponent that yes, you can see now, every time I try to, yeah, that was something very embarrassing, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're having to see this. This is the worst grappling you have ever seen. See, I am trying to make him understand that every time I try to hold his hand, he has to act fast and not let me do it. So you'll see he's moving fast, and yeah, some mistakes, and I'm taking advantage of that. And we realized it's too much grappling right now, and we've seen how, yeah. So while holding my hand also, here's what I'm trying to teach him. While holding my hand also, it's possible that you get technique in return or something like that. Now you can see he's a little more anxious, little more fast, but mistakes happen like that only. We are just trying to make you more conscious of not letting somebody hold your hand, otherwise bad things can happen. And now this is just Kung Fu Panda stuff. You will see how bad we are at this. But I hope the technique is clear. That means the realization. This might have been the shittiest grappling that you have ever seen. We are all practitioners, we are trying to learn, but the thing is, that's not the point. We are karate practitioners and we are trying to challenge ourselves. We are trying to challenge our karate technique of the wrist control. The game was still about wrist, but we kept introducing new factors, no matter how different or how weird it might look. But a simple simulation of like a punch, if you don't know how to punch and kick, it's okay, just try pushing your leg into the other person. You might understand it is difficult or it's easy, or what's happening, is your technique still working or not, are you using other techniques for your technique, or is it just simply becoming something else. If it is completely becoming something else, then it might mean that the technique is not good enough, because that's why you are having to resort to other things. So that's all for today. All we try to do is one technique, we try to practice that, and then we try to introduce some new factors like a little bit of grappling, a little bit of kicks, and how will the technique work with pressure, pushing, pulling. So that's what we are trying to do. Camera बहुत ज़्यादा हिल रहा है ना.